Welcome, everybody, to episode 12 of the Big Ben and Friends podcast. I am your host, Big Ben Ortmanns, and this week we're going to get to know one of my friends from the pro wrestling business a little bit better. This man here has been a huge staple of crossbody pro wrestling over the last 2 or so years. He's been a former crossbody pro wrestling internet champion. He's the first and only ever Autobahn to the Gold tournament champion, which earned him the right to face off against the heavyweight champion and his best friend, which is also the man that he defeated to win the tournament, Holden Albright, at a later date, because this was supposed to happen in March, but on the really shit side of March, the one we were basically got shut down and plans got canceled and life got canceled. But when things return to normal, I'm sure that's going to be something that's and that'll be up to you whenever you decide to want to get back on there and take that challenge up, because that is still an option. That's all yours. He's also one half of a very popular tag team here on the Ontario Independents with a gentleman by the name of Von Vertigo, tag team called Fight or Flight. He's, in my opinion, one of the most talented and gifted in-ring performers that Ontario has, and he's worked his ass off to get there, and I've seen it firsthand. Everybody welcome my buddy El Diablo, Gabriel Fuerza. How you doing today, buddy?
Wow, so many compliments. I'm doing better now.
Well, it's all true, though. I mean, I'm just... I'm not stating anything that's false. I mean, unless you have anything that you disagree with there.
No, I mean, I'll take all the compliments I can get.
You're like, you know what? Fuck Von Vertigo. We're not that popular. That's the thing I disagree with. That'd be an excellent way to start. How are things, man? You been doing okay? I haven't actually talked to you in a while, so that's actually a genuine question. I have no clue how you're doing.
Honestly, pretty good. I know some people have been taking the quarantine a little harder. I've been treating it like a summer vacation, because I remember when I first started adulting for real, and I realized that I would never get a summer vacation again. I took that pretty hard. So I'm treating this as one more.
I understand that.
Might be the last one.
but see, here's the thing. I think that you're on the right mindset, but I also think that you need to treat it as a working vacation.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Because obviously, you can lose everything that you've worked for, very, very fast if you stop. So it's going to be really, really fun once things kind of slowly start to get back to normal, which they seem to be slowly doing by the looks of things. It's going to be interesting just to kind of see whose cardio is where, and just to see what everybody's capabilities are, after being away for so long. So I know you've been working your ass off, and you've been obviously doing quite a number of different projects and doing quite a number of things to keep yourself busy. So
Ryan, I go insane. I literally get depressed if I'm doing absolutely nothing. So I have to be productive in one way or another, even if it's just productive for me, but not really for anybody else. You know what I mean?
But that's the point, though. I mean, I'm in the exact same boat. I mean, it's one of the reasons why I started doing this podcast. It was a way for me to put effort into doing something and to still be creative at the same time while we're on break, and I can't do that by doing shows or whatever. So one thing that I found for me that was a good way to stay creative, and at the same time kind of get to know my people that I consider friends a little bit better, and people that are on my crew that I don't necessarily get to speak to the way that we're going to over the next maybe hour and a bit. For we don't get to do that often because it's a lot of business, and we're always trying to figure out ways to make what we're doing better in a way. That's a good thing, because we're professionals, and it just shows that we're very passionate about what we do. But not only did I kind of relish that opportunity to do stuff like this, but getting into video editing and just getting into editing just in general, and being able to learn that side of it, because I've been learning the production end of it, as you know, but the editing portion of it was something that I've always been wanting to do, and I've just never been able to find the time. But now that we've had this time, again, it allowed me to be able to do that. And thankfully, Aiden Prince kind of taught me how to edit in almost like editing for dummies, real quick, and kind of taught me what I know. And it's allowed me to put all this together and whatnot. And I'm kind of learning new tricks of the trade as you go along. And, it's a blast, but it's also to keep myself from going insane, because I'm the same way. I can't sit and just do nothing. So like, what have you like been up to? I mean, that's kind of a bit of a broad statement, but like, I know that you've built a home gym
Kind of.
ish,
Yeah.
ish. So like, yeah.
I yeah. I mean, the first thing I did was get fat and get lazy. Um,
Ha! You put
but
on your COVID-19, did you?
yeah, I literally got as fat as I've ever been in my life, which isn't very fat, I'll say, but still for me it was like shocking.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, then I built a home gym, just garage door material pretty much. I had like a solid shaft from an old garage door
Mm-hmm.
that I made to like a barbell, and then a few like half springs that I kind of put on the sides. And then yeah, because I couldn't find anything at that point. I think I found a few dumbbells. I think 25s or 30, something like that.
Yeah.
And Alexia gave me a kettlebell. And
And am I wrong? They look like those old ass plastic weights that have like cement in them. Am I wrong?
a little bit, yeah.
That's
Yeah,
awesome.
they're very
Those are
very
ghetto.
expensive. Yeah, it was super ghetto.
But those have character because those things have been around forever.
Yeah,
Do you know how
that's true.
jacked those things have gotten people over the years?
That's true. I mean, I don't care what they look like as long as I can pick them up and toss them around.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Um. Yeah. So I mean, that wasn't so bad. I got a few bands. I'm really into band workouts now. Like I did a lot of hit training. I thought my cardio was good, but it's probably not that good. I mean, nothing relates to actually being in a ring.
Sure. Sure.
But
Now,
actually,
in regards to what you're doing for your workouts, I want you to hold off on that because that's something that we're actually going to talk about a little bit later on there. I've weirdly
okay.
I've got a format to these things. I'm not,
Wow.
yeah. I'm not like just a random, like, oh, let's just talk shit and I actually have questions and stuff like that. So let's let's start. Actually, we'll start with the first question that I gave you about a 2-minute Iggy on that I because I'm such a nice guy. I always like to start these podcasts because again the whole point of these things is to kind of get to know my friends a little bit better, because again we're at shows all the time and we're just again constantly busy, don't get to talk like friends. So I always like to remember and like get your perspective rather of how we met and how we became friends in the first place.
Mm-hmm. This might surprise you. I don't know if you'll remember. The first time I remember speaking to you, I'm pretty sure was at a random Barry show. I can't remember what the conversation was really about, but I just remember you mentioning something about striking, and I was at the time I was training at Battle Arts, so I was like really into striking, and I know that's your thing. And we had like a short conversation about that, and I think the next time that I like remember really like talking to you was probably when you booked me and Jeff to face the Riot Makers, and
Yeah,
I don't think we became like actual friends until I mean probably after until you booked me to work Kobe, because we had like a little conversation about how you thought like I just wanted to do tag team stuff,
mm-hmm.
and I was like, oh no, I want to do everything, like singles, tag, whatever you got for me, like I'll take it. And I think after that it kind of snowballed, and
That sounds about right because like I knew who you were for quite a while. It's funny because when you pointed at the whole Barry thing, I oddly like remembered that as soon as you
right.
point. I wouldn't have if you asked me to, but when you pointed that out, I'm like, actually, I do remember that. But I've always kind of had an eye on you, and you've always had that buzz about you, just because, like, I mean, you've always showed potential ever since you started. Like I've always heard about you, you know what I mean? But yeah, 100%. Like I remember booking, I don't even remember the reason why I booked you in the first place. I honestly don't. Obviously you were good, but I don't remember what the actual like spot was. But I do remember bringing you guys in to do the tag stuff. And then that talk that you were referring to, the reason why that I remember that talk specifically, because the reason why it kind of got me so fired up was you were just like, I want to do whatever. And because that's kind of what I saw in you. And that wasn't any disrespect to Vertigo or like your tag team efforts, but like I've saw at that point what you're becoming now. And I was just like, okay, you just need to, you just need that opportunity and the people to work with to really develop as that, because I don't even think you realize that like that's your path yet. And I don't know, maybe you did, but it was just something that I saw. So like as soon as you kind of said that you were open to anything and that you wanted to do whatever, I just remember the way that you were telling me you were very, very passionate about it. And that's one thing that just draws me right away, is if I know that somebody is like talented, even in the slightest, and that they're hungry and that they're passionate, I just want to surround myself with that, because I feel like that's me. I'm a hungry guy, and I love what I do, and I hate surrounding myself with people that I feel like you have to explain why you want to do certain things to, you know. I like being around people where you're just like, I want to do this, and instead of them being like, well, that's fucking stupid. Why? I want people around me to be like, oh, but why don't you try this instead? And then fucking this would be fucking sweet. And that's kind of what our locker room is like, we are a big ass fucking melting pot of like, we all just want to see and do and watch each other be the best versions of ourselves. And when I realized that was kind of what was coming out of you, I was like, yeah, okay. So that got me really pumped. And like, you've been going gangbusters ever since.
No, well, thanks for giving me the fucking shot. Wait,
well,
can I swear? Are we good?
Fuck yeah.
Okay,
yeah. We can definitely swear. Yeah. Like trust me, if this is almost like one of the reasons why I had to start a show, because like I have to hold back so much from swearing at crossbody shows, because it just comes out of me like oxygen. It's very difficult to keep that shit in, you know. But yeah, but that's definitely that is definitely it, because again, me and RJ kind of had a chat similar to this, where like when I asked him this, he was like, well, where do you feel like we cross that line between, you know, acquaintances and friends, you know? And I loved that question, like but that's it. It's like, I think that when you find people that you can create and be passionate with, like it's hard to not want to be around those people all the time, you know? So one thing that I'm always curious about, because again, I don't know, like I know a bit about you, but there's a lot more that I'm kind of dying to get to know about you. So do you remember what it was specifically? And I know this like kind of a bit of a differently worded question that you'll probably get asked a lot, but what was it that kind of made you want to follow through with becoming a wrestler? Because I've always found that a lot of people want to do shit, but then the want to, and then that line of crossing it and actually doing it is that real motherfucker, right? So what made you cross that line, I guess, so to speak?
You know, now that I think about it, I never like really gave it a thought. Like it was just, I was just gonna do it, and it wasn't even like in my head there was no like, oh, maybe I shouldn't, or it's scary or whatever, which is weird, because typically like I'm the kind of person that's scared to do a lot of stuff. Like I'm scared to do anything different. But with wrestling, I don't know, I guess I just fell in love with it so quickly. And I think having my parents be like super supportive of it. In fact, my parents are the one who found Squared Circle, the school that I trained at. They're the ones who found the first indie show I ever went to. You know,
what was the first indie show you ever went to?
It was a very random Squared Circle show downtown at like an art gallery. Like it was on the second floor of this art gallery, like just tiny little room where the ring barely fit.
Okay.
But it had El Santo and Blue Demon on it.
Get out of here.
Yeah, and at the end of the show, Lita and Trish Stratus just like appear. And to this day, I'm like, that was probably the strangest experience. Like in my head, I'm like, oh, I guess all wrestling shows are like this, but nothing like that's happened since.
What a disappointment after that, huh?
Yeah, but I mean, I guess to start on like such a high, I was like, oh, this is awesome, I'm in.
So just out of curiosity, like were you always more of a luchador fan growing up, as opposed to like your North American style? Like just because, I mean, obviously I don't think we're letting the cat out of the bag here. Mexican?
Yeah.
Okay. So obviously, like did you grow up just loving that style like immediately, or?
Yes, like I loved all wrestling, honestly. Like the first wrestler that I felt attached to actually was Kane. Yeah, I
That
know.
makes so much sense, because I remember the one time you asked me to get you a fucking Kane Funko. I'm like, what the fuck? Why did he ask me to get him a Kane Funko?
Yeah, it's awesome. It's like my favorite one. It's right there. I can see it.
Amazing. Okay. But I can't lie.
Yeah.
I was a huge Kane mark myself.
Kane's
Huge.
awesome. Like,
he was the fucking best.
yeah.
I actually used to have the plastic mask and everything, man. I loved that shit.
Yeah, so it's actually funny because the reason I liked Kane was because I had a buddy who lived down the street. He had like one of those modded PlayStations that you could play like literally any game on it, that you just like literally go and download it.
Yeah.
And he had, I guess it must have been like SmackDown 2 or something like that, like just an older PlayStation game. And we would play, and I knew nothing about wrestling. So I just picked Kane because Kane was the coolest one. And like, that was it. Like, I didn't fall in love with wrestling yet. I was just like, oh, I like Kane and I like the concept of wrestling, but I was
so you weren't even a fan when Kane was a thing yet.
A wrestling fan yet. No.
How old? Okay, so I have to tell you quick. Do you want to know how I related to Kane? Because he was the younger brother who just wanted to beat the shit out of his older brother, and that was me growing up.
Funny, I never even thought of that.
Yeah, so I was just like, God, fucking go Kane!
Yeah.
So when did you become a wrestling fan then? Like, I would have figured that you were a lifer, kind of like myself. You seem it anyway.
Almost. I think around like 04-ish. I guess that would be 11.
I gotta tell you, that throws me way off, just because again, like when I talk about like my favorite matches, like I talk about my favorite matches that I've seen live and how special they are to me. And I know how special the Eddie versus Ray match from Halloween Havoc was to you. And that kind of blows my mind a little bit, how special that is. And you didn't even see that live. I saw that shit live. I had to go to my buddy Bobby Lambrink's house in Brantford, where he had the fucking stolen cable box. And my mom would drive me down there and then pick me up afterwards. God bless her heart for doing that. But I remember watching that shit live. Dude, my mind exploded. Like, I was fucking blown away. But you didn't even see that shit live.
Yeah, no, I didn't see it live, but it was the first match, like the first full match I ever watched. So in that way, it holds a special place.
I understand now.
Yeah. So what happened was, so the Kane thing happened, and then like as a child, I had no concept of channels. I just knew that like cartoons were on 25, and like everything else I didn't understand. So I remember flipping through channels, and I had stumbled on an episode of Raw, and it was the episode of Raw where Kurt Angle had come out with a milk truck. So I remember being like, what is happening? And like, I went to my parents' room and I was like, I don't know what I just found, but it's awesome. And I was trying to like explain it to them. And little did I know that they were wrestling fans. Like, they didn't watch WWE, but they were lifelong Lucha fans. They literally like went on dates to the Lucha shows like every week. So,
get out of here.
Yeah, so once they kind of saw me get into that, they literally they you don't remember LimeWire?
Yeah, of course I do.
They just searched Rey Mysterio and downloaded the Halloween Havoc match. They downloaded Rey versus Angle versus Benoit, and they downloaded this like music video kind of thing.
Wow.
And they're like, oh, just come into the next room. We want to show you something. So they showed me that, and then it was all downhill from there.
Your parents, oh my God, that might be one of the coolest stories I've ever heard. Most
pretty cool.
Like, my parents were, like, my mom pretended to be okay with me being a wrestler until I became one. My dad hated it from the word go. I to be honest with you, my dad never it was, and I hate bringing this up because like I feel like I constantly bringing up, I just want to never talk about it again, honestly. But it wasn't until I did extra work for the WWE that my dad finally, I think, came around and was just like,
yeah,
about fucking time, you asshole. You know what I mean? But then at that point, like, anything I've done ever since then, he like now listens and speaks to me about it with respect, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, it does.
So I had to work a lot, and I had to really bust my ass just to even get like the approval to speak about it around him, for crying out loud. So
Yeah,
that's really cool, man.
Yeah, no, I got really lucky. Like my parents, I mean, my mom is no longer living with me. She's living in Mexico, but all the time, like I send her updates, and she's like, "Wow, so cool! Like, when are you coming here to wrestle?" You know?
Yeah. Has your mom ever seen you wrestle, or
Oh God, yeah.
like has she ever come? Like I don't know when she moved back, but like did she ever get to see you live, or?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
She was at my first match. Well, technically not my first match, but the first match that I knew that I was wrestling, because my first match I knew an hour before.
Oh
So
really?
my first match where I had gear.
And who was your first match against?
It was me and Preston Miles, or Young Miles,
Yeah.
against Vertigo and Grimbo, who also wrestled as JK47.
JK47. Okay.
Yeah,
How'd that go? Just because obviously, if you didn't even know until about an hour, I'm assuming it was probably just a drizzling shits.
it was okay,
Yeah.
honestly. Like, yeah, like I had trained enough that I was like decent. Obviously, like I'm moving a friggin' mile a minute, and like all gangly and awkward, but like there were no like botches or anything. There was nothing like, oh God, like, you know. Sometimes you watch like. Sorry.
So what was your first match that you actually like knew about then?
It was me versus Vertigo versus El Bigote, who was Shane Saber at the time. And honestly,
okay.
I think it was a good match. I still think it was a good match. Like,
Yeah.
I remember we went in there because we specifically thought of this as like our shot with the company. It was Squared Circle. So we're like, we're gonna knock it out of the park. I did a shooting star press. Vertigo did a friggin' flip dive to the outside. Like, we did like a double superplex. Yeah, it was a bit much, but it was good, I think. And then we didn't get booked for nothing.
Nothing?
Nothing. They didn't care. They were too small. They didn't care. Like, they booked the mediocre main events as the new, you know, top guys, and we got shafted. And then they put Vertigo and I in a tag team.
Was it Fuerza or Jordan that was running things at the time? Or sorry, not Fuerza, Fuego. Yeah.
Jordan.
Oh, it was Jordan. Okay.
Yeah. And you know what? No hard feelings, honestly, because looking back, you're going to book, you know, two skinny kids as like your contenders. Like, fine, I get it. Put us in a tag team.
Sure.
But like Vertigo and I did not want to be in a tag team. Like, we didn't even really like each other yet. So like we fought a little bit.
Isn't that kind of always how those stories go, where like the dude that you end up becoming like best friends with and you have the best chemistry with are just dudes that you fucking wanted to fist fight at first?
You want to know like how we became friends?
Yeah.
Okay, so I used to travel about an hour and a half to get to training on weekends because the bus system sucks here. So you know, every Saturday friggin' sucked. I'd leave in the morning and trek on over, and then finally make it. I'm too tired to train, but you do it anyway.
Sure.
And as a joke, I was like, okay, who wants to drive me home? And Vertigo's like, I will. And I was like, oh? He's like, yeah, I live in Port Hope. My dad, like, he won't mind. We can just drop you off on the way. It's like a 5-minute detour. And I was like, oh, okay, thanks. And like, we became friends. But what I didn't know, and like I always put Jeff over for this, because like he's that good of a guy. He hated me. Like, hated me. Because he'd been training already for like, I think a year or 2 years. And he was just now starting to get the hang of it. And like, he just learned how to like do moonsaults and like, you know, what kids consider cool stuff.
Sure.
And I've been there already knowing how to do like parkour and stuff. So like, I did a shooting star press on my first day. And he was like, I fucking hate that guy.
Yep.
Like, who the hell does he think he is? Just comes in here and steals my spot? And he's just a trainee, so like, there's no spot to take. But like, I understand why he was mad, and he still gave me a freaking ride. So like,
isn't it kind of funny though how much things have changed? Because like, A, I mean, you guys are hilariously best friends now, but B, like, if someone came in to like the gym on day one, for example, and then hit a shooting star press, like, instead of being like, oh fuck you, you're an idiot, we're all just like, yes, we got another one to work with. It's so different now. Everybody's reactions are completely fucking different. It's hilarious. So like when you did first start training and whatnot, I'm always interested in this part just because, you know, we all have that like first big obstacle when we first start training, just because it's certainly, I've never met anybody that said that when they started training that it was what they thought it was going to be, you know, because wrestling rings are not what you think that they're going to be when you get in them, the way that they feel, like everything, the ropes, the way that you operate, like everything that you do in pro wrestling that you even think going into it is so much different than actually doing it. So, did you find that you had any, like, you know, whether it be mental, whether it be physical, whether it be like just not being able to comprehend, whether it be dealing with people, like what was your main obstacle that you kind of had to overcome in when you first started training?
Uh, you know what? Like, as a kid, I was so dumb. I didn't think, how's it gonna feel? What am I gonna, what's this gonna feel like? What's that gonna feel like? What's taking a bump gonna feel like? I literally didn't even think about it, not for like
Hmm.
a second. So like, I guess it's not that everything was as I was expected. It's that nothing surprised me
Okay.
because I didn't expect anything. Like bumping, I don't remember it sucking. Like the first time I got into a ring was in a Taylor Wilde seminar,
Okay.
and I remember her saying, "Oh, tomorrow you guys might feel like fluey. It's just from bumping." And I remember thinking, "Oh, that's gonna suck." And the
Yeah.
next day I felt great. And I don't know, like it just felt right, like
Yeah.
there was no. I had done like other things growing up, like karate, and I freaking hated it. Like I hated doing swimming. I hated doing anything my parents put me in. But like this was the first thing that I was in because I wanted to be in, not because my parents wanted me to be in. And I don't know, man. Like it definitely wasn't easy per se. Like it's not like I just waltzed in there and was like, "Hey, everybody, like let's wrestle,"
Hmm.
But it was like it's like I don't know, like taking care of a loved one. You know what I mean? Like it's hard, but like it's
Sure.
easy because you love them. Like
I get it.
everything was hard. Like, yeah, my body started to hurt. And like, I remember Tarek gave me a Samoan drop that to this day is the worst bump I've ever taken. Like, it felt like a shockwave through my chest down to my toes and my fingers. By far the
Off an
worst bump I've ever.
atomic drop.
No, sorry, Samoan drop.
Oh, a Samoan drop.
Yeah,
Okay.
because I
That makes
remember
a little more sense.
Rob was like, okay, guys, we're going to learn Samoan drops today. And he's like, who wants to take it? And like, my goal was to be like me every time. I'm first one in, first one out. Like, please choose me. I won't complain. And so, there I am. And I'm like, what do I do? And he's like, just hold on really tight. I'm like, okay. So I held on like as tight as I could. And I don't know, I guess just like there was absolutely no like squish to it. Like I was just so tight onto him
Yeah.
that like it ruined me. It hurt so bad.
I'm
But like
picturing that, and it sounds really awful, actually.
but like that's the thing. Like it wasn't hard. Like yeah, it hurt for like a second, but like afterwards I was like telling my parents, I'm like, hey, I took a freaking Samoan drop today. It was awesome.
So, like, you didn't really have any difficulty? Like, you kind of just were able to catch on to things rather quickly?
Not like all the moves, but the the aches and pains, the lifestyle, I guess. Not lifestyle is not the right word because like as a trainee there is no lifestyle. It's just like
No, there
training. Like
is. No, there absolutely is. Like,
okay, well then maybe lifestyle.
because if you don't have that lifestyle, then those are the ones that get weeded out very quickly.
That's true. Yeah,
Because if you don't start taking care of your body immediately once you start training, your body will diminish because if most people don't even understand how to take care of their body until they get into pro wrestling and fuck it right up. And then at that point, that's when you look into the corner of your apartment one day and you're just like, I've got like 6 different rollers, balls, a fucking Dr. Ho machine, and a
yeah,
massage gun. What the fuck is going on in this corner?
yeah,
Right? Sling for my shoulder, like whatever it is. But like you start to understand how much rehabbing and taking care of your body, and when people tell you like to diet and work out and all that stuff, like it is literally for a reason. It's not just for aesthetics. It's to make sure that you can actually continue to go and
yeah,
not wear out by the time you're 30, for crying out loud, right? So
yeah.
I guess with that being said, like, do you remember what like your first like real moment where you kind of where everything clicked? Like I always call it the aha moment, where like when, you know, like whether it be during training, whether it be like, you know, whether your first year or two into wrestling, like do you remember what it was where you're just like, fuck, I got this? Like,
The first instance where I remember thinking, oh, I can do this was Jeff and I had a match against Aeroform at Squared Circle.
okay.
Flip Kendrick and Lewis Linden. And
okay, sorry, I knew that sounded familiar. It wasn't clicking right away. Sorry.
yeah, well, I mean, what happened was we got put in that tag team. Just hated it. It's not that we hated teaming or we hated each other or anything. You know how it is. Like, everybody wants to be a singles guy, right? Sure. We just didn't. We didn't appreciate tag team wrestling at the time, and we were stuck with this stupid gimmick. Like, we were ravers, and like Jeff and I are two of the most boring people on the planet. Like, our idea of a good time. When I go to his house, we sit there, we watch wrestling, we laugh, we play video games, and that's it. Like, I've been to one party with Jeff, and it was super awkward. Like, we were just kind of like, okay, now what? You know, like. Now we've loosened up a little bit, but like just these two awkward ass kids with these raver gimmicks, and we don't know how to do this, so we just like, okay, you know. And I remember we had started to travel. We had been to like a few places, and you know, we're starting to get our stripes or whatever. And I was at his apartment, and we're just kind of like, you know what? Let's just commit, you know, like let's just do it. Like, if we're gonna be the Candy Kids, let's be the friggin' Candy Kids. Like, we could be our version of the Candy Kids. And we kind of decided we were gonna be more of like superhero guys. So like it didn't last very long because we became Fight or Flight soon after. But
was Alexian a part of the Candy Kids? Am I mistaken?
Briefly, but I think she managed us for like 2 matches, and that's it.
Okay, because I for some reason remember, like, as you're talking about that, I remember a picture of the 3 of you and whatever. But okay, sorry, I just wanted to clear that one up.
Yeah, it was she was in there, but it was definitely brief. But she was the spiritual member anyway.
The spiritual member.
But right. Yeah, I remember we were just like, okay, let's just do it, right? Mm-hmm. And shortly after, we did like a triple shot, all with Squared. And they accidentally made us the #1 contender because at the time they were doing this point system. And so every match you won, you got like 3 points or whatever. And if you lost, you didn't get any points. And if you drew, you get 2 or something. And we won a match at like Riot Fest or something because the other team was just like 2 randoms. Mm-hmm. And then I think we won another match that they wanted us to win. And then another match, we got decimated by Rob Brage and John Atlas. Like, just decimated. But we won by DQ. So they booked themselves into a corner and had to give us a title shot.
Tremendous.
So, yeah, it was awesome. And so, like, we went, we had the match. We were super over. Mm-hmm. So, like, we were not expecting that. And the match, to this day, I still think is pretty good. Like, if I were to make, like, a best of, you know, Fight or Flight DVD or something, it would be on there. It's not, like, fantastic. It's not, you know, anything to show off necessarily, but like these are 2 guys who like we respected, and they were actually like willing to work with us and make us look good, and like it was awesome. Like hats off to those guys, and the crowd reaction was great. The match, like I said, I thought was great, and that was definitely the first match where I was like, oh, we can do this. Like, not just me, but Jeff can do this. Like, we can do this together. We can do this separate. Yeah, whatever it takes, we can do it. And that was definitely probably the click at the moment.
So, I mean, that's something that I've also wanted to ask you as well is, I mean, you and Vertigo have been, how long have you guys been a team for?
Pretty much since the beginning. So what year is it? Almost, like, 6 years.
6 years. So yeah. I'm pretty sure that in every single one of those 6 years, with every company that you've worked for, you've done the tag, split up, feud gimmick, crossbody included.
Yeah,
crossbody included. Yeah. So how do you constantly go back and just keep that fresh? Because it's clearly something that either people just aren't paying attention, or people just think that they're doing it first, or I'm not really 100% sure. Like, I know in my case, it was, again, the whole reason why that happened was because you put the bug in my ear that you wanted to do your own thing, as we've discussed earlier. And then it was like, okay, well, we have to get you out of it somehow. And I can't just like stop booking Vertigo, because then that doesn't make any sense. You know what I mean? Like, it just, we got to find a way out. So like, that's kind of is the way out. Is that the reason why you feel like that happens, or is that?
Sometimes yes, sometimes no. Within your particular case, you had like a justifiable reason. Sometimes promoters don't have the best reason, and for that reason, Jeff and I have become a little more like annoying, I guess. Like, if promoters want to break us up and they don't have a good reason, we disagree and we just don't do it. If they want to keep booking us, cool, and if they don't, then also cool, you know.
So you have said no to some people, I guess.
Yeah.
Good. I like that. Because you do got to stick up for yourself to some degree. Just, I mean, because if you're putting in the effort, especially as a tag team, now, like, cause I get it from the promoter side. Tag teams are, that's 2 paydays, so that doubles your deal, right? So like, I get where some people try to stay away from that stuff. However, when you are trying to build a brand, you've certainly got to stick to your guns. So I can respect that you guys did that.
Yeah. No, well, in terms of keeping it fresh, I mean, I feel like, well, Vertigo especially, he's constantly changing and constantly like evolving. Yeah. He's very in his head, which is kind of one of his best assets, ironically, because it makes him anxious, but at the same time, it forces him to grow. And I think in the past like 2 years, I've kind of tried to imitate that. Because at first I was just kind of like, you know, singles guy from Mexico, cool, you know. And not until recently did I have like an actual like, I don't want to say gimmick, but like mindset in mind.
I would like to say identity.
Identity, yeah. I think that's a good word.
Because I don't think that you have a gimmick, and I don't think that you, because if I'm being perfectly honest with you, and it's not to nitpick, I think that you've still got so much. People don't have a fucking clue what's in here. I don't think. Like, I think that you have a lot to show, and I feel like that's something that you haven't even began to even consider bringing out yet. Like, there's, like, you are very able to get by on skill and passion, and because people see that and people can appreciate and respect all of that. Like, I think the audiences appreciate hard work, you know. But I think that that's the one thing that is certainly going to be your next level, and that's going to be your leveling up, is when you're able to comfortably find a way to bring what's in here and be able to relay that. Because one thing that you even said to me kind of before we hit record was, you were just like, yeah, I don't really, you know, I'm not the most social guy and stuff, and I'm not either, right? So in a weird way, I get that, but we are in a business, obviously, where that has, like, it's not that it has to come out, but there's something has to come out. Like, there was something I saw Danhausen tweet the other day, and it really shines through. And I think that it's something that for guys like you, it's certainly something that you should take to heart. He said that William Regal once told him that you need to find out what it is that you do and what you're good at, and you need to stick to doing that, because then that makes you your own individual, and then nobody can touch that. Like, because Danhausen is very good at what Danhausen does. Like, nobody's going to out Danhausen. Nobody's going to out Warhorse. You know, like, those guys have found what it is that's in them, and they've been able to bring it out like that. I genuinely believe that when you're able to do that yourself, I think that the sky is the absolute limit for you at that point, and you're going to be a fucking force to be reckoned with at that point, because be able to bring that out with the skill level that you have and the editing skills that your best friend has. God damn, it's, I would say, something to consider, my friend.
I hope so. I think, well, I mean, I guess this is going off the earlier question as well, but I think as fight or flight, I generally think we're stronger as fight or flight, because as fight or flight, we've found a way to bring out like our personalities. Like Jeff and I love the same movies, like Scott Pilgrim, Hot Rod, Superbad, like all that stuff. And I don't know when it happened, but at some point we decided, oh, that's fight or flight. Like we are those, awkward
And your
movies.
promos are the fucking best. Like if
Yeah.
anybody hasn't seen the promos that I'm talking about rather, I don't know exactly where you can find them. I don't know if it's just on Facebook or YouTube, but
Most of them are on YouTube. I've been meaning to make a playlist.
go out of your way to watch them. They are and for companies I even fucking will not mention on this thing, go watch they're so good. Sorry, continue. I just want to make sure that people are aware of those things because people need to watch that shit. It's great.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, I think that's another way we've kept it fresh, because like he has his own identity as like the visionary.
Yes.
I have my own identity as like the Diablo, which by the way, I didn't give myself that nickname. I don't remember who gave me that, but they were like, "Oh, can I introduce you as El Diablo?" And I was like, I guess. I thought it was a little bit too on the nose, but people seem to like it. So
hey, I don't mind it. You're the one that told me to start introducing you as it. So it's fucking me. You're the one that told me. You goddamn bully.
It's worked out. I just wish I could remember who gave me the idea in the first place. But anyway,
one thing that I really, really, and this is something that I actually wanted to bring up to you, because this, the evolution of you guys, and that was kind of like the layer to the question that I originally asked, because like I'm curious how you guys keep that fresh, but in a weird way, I think, in my opinion, how you guys are able to keep it fresh is by continuing to go off and do your own thing individually. You guys do grow as people, but in a weird way, it's like you grow and then you walk away and do your own thing, but then you keep coming back. And then it's like you go away, grow, and then you keep coming back. So like there's this, every time you come back and reintroduce the team, there's new layers and there's new things that you guys have developed. So that's kind of, I think, is pretty fascinating.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree with that. I mentioned that to Jeff as well, because like, like we're both doing our own thing, learning and growing in our own like gimmick or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
And then bringing those new kind of concepts back together. And I think that's kind of how it's been working, because we don't team consistently. I would say typically it's half tag bookings and half singles booking, which is ideal. But
in a weird way, I also find that the way that you guys get booked also in a weird way oddly helps you, because like while Vertigo has been, he's got real smart and decided to go and do the stuff in Europe and whatnot. And while he's away in Europe, and again, it's not a knock on him. And it's not a knock on you either. And if anything, it's just a happening of circumstance. But while he was over there, you were booked and afforded a luxury to, you were afforded a path to become a top guy in Ontario. If that makes any sense.
Well, that's the way I looked at it too. Because I mean, once he's in the UK, there goes half my booking, so I have to, find something to supplement. At the same time, like companies that typically book us as a tag team, now they'll look at me as a singles guy potentially. So it does help me get my foot in the door, and obviously him going to the UK like is fantastic for him.
Yeah.
So
and
I think it's
I started to notice that like you were popping off in singles, doing stuff in Barrie. Like their shows aren't really able to watch. Like, I mean, I don't know, but, and it's hard for me to get out there, but you see all the good stuff that they've been doing with you over the last little while. And like, there's all these different companies that clearly have seen, what you're able to bring to the table and have been utilizing you as such. Now, something that I wanted to ask you in a weird way about that is because obviously like I was able to see that a while ago, and it's been a joy to kind of help watch you grow, and at the same time be able to put you into situations that challenge you to bring that out, but at the same time give you all the rope to kind of figure it out for yourself as well. You're one of the guys, and I don't know if I'm breaking a wall here, but like, especially when it came to like showcase shows and the big shows in general, like you've got a lot of creative freedom with me. So I'm always asking, like, who do you want to wrestle? Like, what do you want to do? And like, I notice, oh, you went away video wise.
All right, we just got the low power thing.
There you are. Yeah, you're good. But again, like you're one of those guys where I genuinely, I'm like, what is it that you want to do? Because like I like to have input from the guys that I'm working with consistently. And I noticed that, you know, depending on what week, like, you know, you're really into working with the young guys. And then there's like, you know, certain matches that you've asked me for, and I've been able to provide for you. And it kind of makes me wonder, like, where's your inspiration coming from these days? Like, as far as what it is that you want to do and like who it is that you want to work with.
You know, I don't really know. Like I said earlier, like I'm a fan of all kinds of wrestling. Like it started off, you know, just like I wanted to be a lucha guy, and then I don't know. I felt like I couldn't do it like as well as Rey Mysterio, and if I couldn't do it as well as Rey Mysterio, I didn't want to do it. So, and it's not that like, oh, I need to be the best, you know. It's just that I'm very nitpicky with all kinds of wrestling, but specifically lucha and high flying. It needs to be super clean for me. Like I see a lot of like guys on the indies now, and like yeah, they can do amazing stuff, and there's no knock on them. But for me, it's not like crisp or clean enough. Like the cruiserweight division in like WCW is just like, oh, it's just the tits. Like I love it. Yeah. I could watch any match from like any show as long as it has those guys. Like I'm in for it. And
I might have a Billy Kidman figure that you're interested in that we can discuss afterwards.
Hey, and yeah, since I feel like I can't replicate that to the level that I would feel like I'm actually, I guess, honoring these guys. I kind of tend to switch it up to more like Eddie Guerrero style, like a later Eddie Guerrero style. You know, he would like sprinkle in the high flying here and there, but at the end of the day, he was like a technician, right? And that's something I think I'm a lot better at. And slowly, you know, I'm working at it. I know I'm not the best at it, but I feel a lot more comfortable.
Now we just need you to keep progressing like Eddie, and then get that entertainment or the entertainer out of you, and we'll get you that nice complete package.
We'll get there.
But I've noticed it because it's funny. I remember one day I pulled you aside, and I don't do this very often, but I was just like, if you could wrestle anybody on the indies right now, who do you want to wrestle? Without a fucking missing a beat, you're like, Azrael. All right, well, let me see what I can do. And like, we ended up making it happen. So was that like, I've always wanted to ask you that about this match. And if anybody is wondering, that match is available to go watch on independentwrestling.tv. It's on the January show from this year. Shit, I can't even remember the name of the show right now. I'm tired. I've had a long day. Sorry. But it's the January show. Another new beginning.
Yeah, that's it.
But yes, it was you and Azrael, and again, that was all you. Let you have all the creative freedom in the world on that one. And I've always wanted to ask, was it what you wanted?
Yes and no. I mean, unfortunately, Azrael had like a broken hand at the time, or finger. I can't remember. So there were a few stuff that like I had to cut out, but like, you know how it is, like life happens, no big deal. I just wanted to like see the guy. I hadn't seen him in you know, like 3 years. So I just wanted to see him. I just want to see how he's done, how he was doing, and kind of sit under his learning tree.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, like I was happy with the match. He was happy with the match, and as long as he was happy with the match, that's all I could really ask for.
He was a sweet dude. I'd never really spoken to him other than like just kind of setting that all up, and I wasn't really 100% sure what to expect. And man, he was awesome. And the other guy that he brought down with him that he had as manager, Mike Law, was fucking hilarious. he's actually somebody that I highly recommend that people go and check out, because he did a pre-show match for us, and I think it's online. I think it's on Facebook or it's on YouTube. And I can't remember who he wrestled, but it was very good, and he's a very entertaining guy. And he went out and he managed Azrael in your match, and he was fucking awesome in that match.
He knocked it out of the park.
Like it's
was
funny
there
to
for, like, all his little spots too.
Yeah, like that's what I mean. Like you wouldn't think like, oh, that manager did a great job during that wrestling match, but he really fucking did.
Yeah, no, he did.
He really added. So as we were talking about before, I kind of cut you off in regards to asking you about like your working out and your training and all that jazz, just because again, I've got a format, Fuerza, and this is the portion of the podcast where we are going to discuss what the hell that you've been up to as far as training goes. So like, I'm always curious, especially with, again, with wrestlers, with MMA guys, I'm fascinated by the way that people approach training and what people's methodology is, just because like, I know that just you and me we're both pro wrestlers, but I can almost guarantee that because of our different sizes, our styles, and just the way that we approach matches, the way that we train, is also a lot different. So what do you do typically for training? And like, do you have a like specific, wow, that was a hard one to get out, a specific methodology that you use when it comes to training?
To be completely honest with you, I have no idea what I'm doing. I'm just now starting to get a grasp on how muscles and things work. The only like working out that I did is I got really good at like, you know, like doing a lot of squats and stuff like that. Like sometimes at Squared we do like, you know, 500 squats, and that was okay. I could do that, but like I was always like a skinny kind of fat kid. So, but I always had a gym membership. I just didn't know what I was doing, so like nothing happened. So just, I mean, really recently, it's honestly just because like guys like Justin Sane and you know, like all the freaking Jax guys, like they're all so friendly and like willing to give you all the advice you can handle.
Justin is like the personal trainer for most of the boys right now. He's
honestly
fucking tits, man.
Yeah, him and Psycho Mike actually have given me so much help, especially during this little break we've had.
Yeah.
And like seeing guys like Mark Wheeler and his freaking girlfriend, like they're training their asses off, and Alexia as well. Like just being surrounded by people who are like motivated and I guess knowledgeable really helps. It really makes it easy. So I just kind of pick stuff up off of them. The one thing I did do myself was I did like before I started doing the heavy lifts like bench press, squat, deadlift, all that stuff. I took a lot of time to research and make sure I was doing it properly, because I didn't have the money to like get a personal trainer so he could teach me. So like just a lot of YouTube videos, and I'd be like, oh, this guy says something different than that guy. Oh, but this guy says what the first guy said, so I'll do what they said and assume that the outlier is wrong. Hopefully it works.
Yeah.
And so far it has. So yeah, honestly, like what I've started to do is, I mean, I've learned that my body is not meant to lift heavy, at least not consistently. My shoulder injury, like it's a whole lot of stuff. Like first I fell in it when I was like a kid from doing parkour, trying to do backflips, and then you know like wrestling wear and tear, and the real nail on the coffin, like right now it's actually in pretty good condition thanks to the break we've had. But the real nail in the coffin was I think I did 225 for like 5 or 6 or something, and it was just like that was the goal, right? 225. I'm like, that's like a respectable weight instead of like, you know, I'm pushing just the bar or whatever. Like 225 is something that I can tell people and they're like, oh, that's pretty good, especially for your size, you know?
Yep.
So that was the goal that I was working to. And once I finally got it, the next day I couldn't lift my arm at all. And I did wrestle, I think in that general time, like it was like that happened, and then I think I wrestled. So it could be possible that it happened in a match, but honestly, I've watched the match back tons of times, everything looked good. I remember feeling good. So I equate it to the bench pressing, and I mean, it's fine. I don't need to lift heavy. Like, I'm not like an ego lifter. I don't mind doing more volume stuff than actual heavy weight. But what I've been trying to do is I'll do like a little bit of a like deadlift. I'm fine doing heavyweight.
Mm-hmm.
Squat, not too bad. Bench, I try to keep it on the lower side now, just because obviously I don't want to.
Deadlifts doesn't affect your shoulders too much, or?
No, surprisingly no.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah.
So like, what do you do? Like, so are you picking a body part? Are you doing a full body workout a day? Like, do you have a?
So what I did specifically in quarantine, like I said, I got fat.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, okay, I need to sweat. So what I did is like I built that little ghetto janky gym in the backyard.
Ghetto janky gym. Yeah.
Yeah. And at first I was doing, the body part split, and because I was like, well, that's what I did at the gym, and it's slowly been working for me.
Mm-hmm.
But then I realized like I don't have much weight, I don't have much equipment, so I just decided to do full body pretty much every day.
Mm-hmm.
And then for a little while there, I would do what do you call it? Empty stomach cardio first thing in the morning,
Yep.
and then I'd work out again later.
So there's not really a rhyme or reason as to what you're doing right now, then.
No, now that the gym is reopened a little bit, I got more of a system. But yeah, well, during quarantine, it was just like I'm gonna do as many of these as I can until my arms can no longer lift, and that worked out pretty good.
So
now that the gym's open, sorry.
Here's what I want you to do. Okay.
Yeah.
I want you to, and we'll talk about this after we stop or whatever. But I want you to give me 2 days. I want you to promise me that you and me we're gonna take 2 days, that you come down to crossbody. We got the weights and all that jazz there, and I'm going to provide you, and I'm going to set you up with the system that my strength and conditioning coach gave me.
Sure.
And I see. I was very lucky where my strength and conditioning coach knew that I was broke as fuck when I was a kid and I had nothing to give him. So he was such a great man that he trained me, and what I paid him in was hard work and sweat. And as long as I did everything that he told me to do, he would continue to invest time in me. And that's something that's always stuck with me, which is why when it comes to stuff like this, I always want to help people that especially know that it would be very beneficial for. So I want you to do that, and we'll talk about that afterwards. But I do a very like, it's a functional weight training where essentially you're hitting your body every day, but the technique is really what's most important on everything. It doesn't matter what weight you try to throw around, because especially for somebody like for bodies like ours, where like, because I could already tell that like you got a similar body to mine, where like when you do start to lift heavy, like your joints and just everything just breaks down, and it just you can't do anything. And that's against the whole purpose, because you like, for some people that works. Like guys like Justin can lift heavy all fucking day and do all that stuff. His body is meant for that.
Yeah.
He has trained his body his whole life to be able to do that. We're a little bit different. We need to be able to train our body to function. And if you do not train your body to function, it's just going to break down. So I definitely want to help you. I definitely think that I can. And I'll be able to teach you some proper techniques that you'll be able to use with the janky gym system that you've got at your house.
Well, I'm back at the real gym now, so
even better. But yeah, promise me 2 days, and I think that I can genuinely help you, because
sure.
It's I think it'll be a good way for somebody like you to especially put some size on and be able to really improve your explosiveness and your hips and all that jazz. But again, we'll talk about all that stuff afterwards. So what about your diet? Like, what are you eating right now? Like, does it typically, like, I know that you said that you got fat during the beginning of all this stuff, but like, I'm assuming you've got to be back on a regiment of some degree, because again, we're getting closer to normalcy than we were a little bit ago anyway.
I'm eating 3,000 clean calories pretty much every day.
Now, what is clean to you?
Well, right now I'm eating macaroni with ground beef, and a lot of tasty smoothies with protein and stuff. A lot of Greek yogurt.
So is the
chicken
goal to put
rice, broccoli, all that stuff.
Is the goal to put size on right now?
I think so. I think if I could put on another like 10-ish pounds and then cut the fat down, I think that would be about as much. Like, because honestly, I don't want to get like, like Eddie Guerrero bulky. I don't think that's sustainable for me. I don't think it's like, I think my body would just start to like collapse on itself.
Sure.
But right now, the heaviest I've ever been, I'm 181 right now.
Yeah.
And I mean, I don't think there's too much fat. All my fat sits right in my belly. I don't have like any fat on my legs or my arms or anything, so I feel okay about it.
Okay.
But we shall see. When we see in person, you can prod at me.
I absolutely, I would love to. So the next part of all this, we'll stop talking about all that jazz. We're gonna get into some rapid fire questions because I have rapid fire questions.
Okay.
Formats, Fuerza. Professionalism over here.
I love it.
Lack of barely professionalism over here. All right, so I got about 10 questions lined up for you. I just want you to say the first thing that comes to your head. If you want to go into an explanation, you can. You don't have to. And also remember, there's no wrong answer, so don't worry about getting heat from anybody for fucking not bringing them up.
Okay.
All right, so what's your favorite match that you've been a part of so far?
Me versus Vertigo at Barry for the heavyweight championship there.
Okay. Is there a way to watch that match, or is in typical Barry wrestling fashion? Is it probably
that one is on the Barry Wrestling YouTube page, and it's on my YouTube page as well, I think.
Attaboy, Sean. About fucking time you've learned how to put those things up.
Tell me about it.
Who is not on TV right now, other than yourself, who should be on TV?
Daniel Garcia.
Ooh, good answer. He was my last episode. He was my last episode, actually. He's a good dude, man. What's your favorite band?
Right now, probably the Beaches.
The what?
The Beaches.
Who are they? What do they do?
They're a Toronto all-girl rock band.
Oh, okay. Local.
Yeah, actually, Vertigo and I like them so much that we almost tried to license one of their songs to use as Fight or Flight's theme song, like everywhere, like even TV and stuff like that. Because
did you talk to them about it?
No, we decided just not to do it because we figured it would be really expensive. But
can I tell you a secret? Sure. Please keep it between you and me because it's not like we're on fucking YouTube right now. But so the theme song for the Crossbody show, like when you go and watch it on YouTube, when you go and watch it on Independent Wrestling TV, there's that song from a band called Dead Celebrity Status.
Yeah.
So do you want to know how I got that?
Sure.
I was fans of them. They're Toronto band. And I've been fan, like I heard they were local, like the first time I ever heard them, they were playing at Edgefest when Tool was the headliner. They were the very first opening act band on the main stage. And I didn't even see them. I just overheard them. And the friends that I was with at the time, I was just like, is anybody else fucking hearing this? I'm like, this is amazing. And then the girl that was with us, she was like, oh, I'm friends with the drummer. So get the fuck out of here. So then, like, it was like this really weird thing where I just kind of decided that Fuerza just disappeared, but there he is.
Sorry.
No, it's all good. But I've followed that band ever since. And then, like, I remember the one time they had a concert in Hamilton. I went to the concert in Hamilton. It was at like just a small little pub. And then next thing you know, you're running into them and talking to them. And then I asked them straight up. I was just like, yo, I want to use one of your songs as like entrance music. You guys okay with that? They're like, dude, that'd be amazing because it helps them out because they're a local Toronto band. You know what I mean? They're trying to get their name out and stuff like that. I'm just completely ignoring the fact that there's no Fuerza on film here, but that's okay. But then we just kind of grew a friendship over the years. And then when it was kind of time to put something together, it was literally, I DM'd them both. I put a group message together on Facebook. And I messaged Yaz and I messaged Bobby, who are the two guys in the group. And I just said, boys, I want to use this as the theme song for my wrestling show. What do you think? And they were just like, we would be happy and to lend that to you. And we think it'd be very, very cool if, like you got to blend in one of your favorite bands with, what it is that you do. Like, yeah, we're all on board.
Mm-hmm.
never. You know why I haven't had to pay them a cent is because they've actually, and again, I don't know if it's because of us using it, but their listens and their views have actually gone up exponentially since we started using it. And like their old stuff has started to go up on iTunes, and people are starting to know a little bit more about them. Like it's not like a crazy amount, but like I remember the one time they just put up randomly, they're just like, we just randomly got like an extra 10,000 more buys on like singles and stuff like just out of the blue. I was like, fuck, I hope that we had something. It'd be kind of neat, but just saying, I don't know how all bands are, but just you'd be amazed at how because remember they're indie music people. They're just like us. They want to get the fuck out there, you know? And for them, they probably would think it was the coolest thing.
Yeah, you never know.
Just saying. Who's your favorite sports team?
I don't like sports. Like the Mexican national soccer team.
Is that a thing?
Of course.
All right. I'm just checking because I don't know.
Everybody has a soccer team.
Canada doesn't.
They do. They just suck. But the women are good.
I was gonna say, but do they though? Who's your favorite opponent thus far?
Two names that pop into my head that are like really easy to work with are Daniel Garcia and Kobe Durst.
I like that. What's the biggest goal that you have set for yourself that you have accomplished?
That I have accomplished?
You have accomplished.
I mean, I wanted to win a singles championship, and I guess I did.
Okay. What's the next goal on your list that you need to accomplish and that you feel like you will accomplish?
Ring of Honor.
Nice. So I always say 5 for this one, but just give me a random number. Who are the first 5 or so up and coming names, like just starting out, that come to your head that you feel like people should watch out for?
Safety Travis. Mm-hmm. Young Love. I put Crystal Moon over a lot because I think she has like a really good work ethic. Like I would agree. I've agented a lot of her matches now, and like every time I give her, little advice, she always implements it. She's always listening. She's always, willing to take all the criticism I have. So I respect her a lot for that, honestly.
Yeah, she's a very hardworking young lady. She wants this bad,
Yeah. No, I see that, and it's very good.
That's 3.
I mean, a Sexy Stan from Battle Arts.
Okay. He's pretty good. I've never heard of him.
Yeah, he's I mean, he needs to get out there a lot more. But I've had 2 matches with him now, and they were 2 pretty decent matches, I think. Let me think of so I got a few Hamilton guys, got a crossbody girl, got a Battle Arts. How about a super kick?
What a politician this fucking guy, huh?
I don't know. I mean, I literally have a list because Sean Gibson has he almost every day I feel like he's asking me. He's like, "Hey, who are some young guys that I should book?" And I don't know if you remember when quarantine started. I put a little message. I was like, "Hey, if anybody wants me to watch their matches, like, I got time." So everybody who like sent me their matches, I sent their names to Sean because I'm like, "Oh, these guys obviously care."
Initiative.
Yeah, Johnny DeLuca sent me a video, and he's pretty good too. He's shockingly agile. He doesn't look like he's agile, and he is shockingly agile. I don't know if you know Wade. He's a camera guy, but he also trains, and he's a bigger guy.
Bigger, yeah. I do know him. Yep. I don't know. I haven't really spoken to him, but I know of him. Yes.
Yeah, I mean, he's pretty passionate about it.
Actually, DeLuca, if I remember correctly, worked a showcase show, but then just never came back.
Oh, yeah, that sounds about right. I've
never heard from him.
Yeah, I'm always telling these Hamilton guys, like, you got to get out. Like, it's so easy to get trapped in Hamilton because there's so many shows. So, like, you got to work. You got to get out of there. There's too many shows.
Yeah, they've been told by another promoter to avoid crossbody shows altogether if they feel like they wanted to keep their spot. So,
I was told a lot of things by a lot of people. Did I listen to all of them? No. I decided what I
That's
wanted to do and what was best for me. So give it time. Give it
yes.
time. I've always been like a shithead. So like, if people are telling me one thing, I will very easily do the other thing if I think that they're wrong. Not all kids are like me, right? They're like, oh, okay, like yes, sir, you are, authority to me. So of course, like
Yeah,
I
absolutely.
I tell the
I get
story.
it. Like I wasn't mad at the young man who messaged me and explained that to me. Uh, if anything, I was just like, I feel very, very sorry that you've been put in this position,
Yeah.
in a position that doesn't need to be there in the first place.
hmm
And I'm sorry I'm sorry because that sucks, man. Because
Yeah. No,
it is it.
to get caught up in politics that you don't even understand, it just makes no sense.
Yeah, you're being caught in a battle that's not yours,
Yeah.
and that is really just it's a one-sided battle. It's stupid.
Yeah.
It's absolutely ridiculous, and there's just no need for it. But
Yeah.
but that's on them, you know what I mean? And that's for them to decide, and that's for them to figure out, and that's called maturity, and that's
Yeah.
also called growth. And hopefully, that'll be on them to make that decision to learn and
Yeah.
grow. So
They'll figure it out.
absolutely, absolutely. What's your proudest moment thus far outside the ring?
Proudest moment outside the ring. Um. Oh, that's a loaded question. uh. Jeez, I don't know. I've never thought about that.
Well, I asked the hard-hitting questions because I'm a goddamn professional, Gabriel fucking Fuerza. You say fuck here.
I don't know. Like I like being able to like be my own person. I guess like it wasn't that long ago that I was living at. I mean, I'm still living at home, but like now I'm not like living, you know, with my dad. It's like we're roommates. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
So like, I guess being able to be my own person and like my own man, and like not have to ask my dad like, hey, can I have money for this? Like, and rather giving him gifts for no reason. Like, hey, look, I bought a blender. Our blender sucks. There you go. Boom. You know what I mean? Like, I guess little stuff like that make me
I think that's
feel
awesome.
good. Yeah.
I
I
think
just
that's a
like being
great
able
answer.
to
Now,
help out.
I want to say that my proudest moment of you outside the ring, personally, uh, is the fact that I know for a fact that you were going through a very, very difficult, very dark time, and that I've watched you uh, go through it, get through it, and become a much, much fucking better human being and become a man out of it at the end of it. Like I remember you as a boy, and I have watched you become this man who is genuinely starting to grow and to understand not just like the pro wrestling world, but the world a little bit. And you're it's a very cool thing to see. And I just want you to know personally, I don't know like what that means to you whatsoever, but I'm very proud of you, the fact that you got through that the way that you did, and that you are in a position now where I watch you help other people, you know.
And I appreciate that. Honestly, I do. I it feels like so long ago. Honestly, like I know it was only like a year and a bit ago, but it feels like a long time ago.
It does.
So
And that's the crazy thing. It really does feel like a long time ago, but it really wasn't when you can look back and you consider it and you kind of have that perspective of it. So the fact that you haven't looked back at it from that perspective, I hope that you do for a second, not to go back there, but just to appreciate the fact that like you grew so fast and you've come a long way in a very, very short amount of time. And I just think that that's something that you need to be aware of, and that you should personally kind of wear as a little kink of pride there, you know?
thank you.
Dude, no problem. Now, to wrap to wrap the whole show up here, I always like to again, the whole point of this show is to get to know my friends a little bit better. Certainly feel like I have over the last little however long we've been talking. I don't even know at this point. But again, it's been me asking all the questions. So I do always like to ask if there's anything that you would like to know about me.
Yes. Ben Ortmanns.
Ben motherfucking Ortmanns.
Where did you train?
Where did I train?
Yeah.
So it's a weird question. Like I first started my training at this place called Camp Martell in Hamilton. Actually, okay, hang on. I actually got to go back. Fuck. I actually originally started training when I was 12 years old at a place called ICW, the Hart Brothers School of Wrestling in Cambridge.
Okay.
I was there for 2 weeks before I had to go because like my mom and dad were divorced, and my dad got me for 2 weeks out of the year every summer. Or no, a week. Yeah, a week. Sorry, a week out of the summer every year, and I'd go hang out with my dad. And so I had to stop my wrestling training for a little bit to go and hang out with my dad for the week. And when I got back, my mom had essentially found out where where they were going to get us. Like she had read through the wording, and there was it could have fucked us financially for a while. There was certainly some not so good verbiage in the stuff that they wanted us to sign. So my mom ex-nayed that completely. So fast forward a few more years, I ended up training at this place called Camp Martell in Hamilton. It was with a gentleman by the name of Jerry Martell, Quinton Valentino, and my buddy Flex Falcone. So that wasn't the best training, but it got my foot in the door, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
Quinton Valentino was an absolute garbage trainer. He used us as fucking punching bags, basically. Like he, in his mind, thought he was a drill instructor, like to the point where when Jerry Martell and I had moved to the East Coast, he had an opportunity to move back to the East Coast and pursue his own thing. And I wanted to move with him because I knew that there was a company called Real Action Wrestling down there that was running full time. And I saw an opportunity to have a free place to live and, well, not free place to live, but a place to live rather with somebody that I knew and could potentially get a full-time job wrestling really, really young. And when we moved down there, they changed the name from Camp Martell to Wrestle Corp, like CORP, because they wanted people to think like, we're a fucking military, blah, 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 blah. It was just bullshit. Like I even remember guys like the original hacker telling me like while I was training there, he's like, dude, like what the fuck is going on here? I had guys like, and I'm sorry if this is bursting anybody's bubble, but like Showtime Eric Young pulled me aside there the one day and actually said to me straight up, he's like, dude, I love you. You're awesome as a dude. I love the fact that I can just count on, I could show up to a show and when I walk in the door, you're in the ring doing something. I don't know what, but you're just in there. You're trying to get better. You're working out with somebody. You're doing something. But if I'm being honest with you, you need to get retrained. The guys that trained you just weren't the best. Now, Quinton Valentino wasn't all that great. Jerry Martell had a really good mind for like the business, like for booking and stuff like that. But training wise, I'm not really sure. Flex Falcone was the guy who really kind of gave me whatever skill that I kind of had. And like he was awesome, dude. Like Flex Falcone was very good, but unfortunately he was the victim of the circle that he was involved with. You know, like everybody hated those guys. So he kind of got lumped in with it. So fast forward where I would say that I really took my training to like a next level was I ended up getting to live with Vance Nevada for a little while. And I don't know if you've ever heard of Vance Nevada.
No.
He's like an old, like he's been around for a long time. Like he was a Manitoba guy. He's been out in the West Coast in Vancouver for a number of years now. I don't exactly know where he's at right now. He could be back in Manitoba. Actually, I think he is back in Manitoba now that I think about it. However, like he became a huge influence on me. And then the other guy that I would basically, if anybody ever asked me who trained me and there's like a short answer that I have to give, I always say Chi Cruz, because Chi Cruz taught me what wrestling is. He showed me how to work. Like he taught me what working was. He just taught me wrestling in like this really short amount of time. Because I had this really weird wrestling education because I got to do the Northern Hell tour with Tony Condello. Are you familiar with that?
Yeah.
And I've told the story before, so I'll kind of rush through it. But like I I took the tour to wrestle Chi Cruz because I knew he was on it. And who I ended up having to wrestle was the younger guy of the tour. That was the young local guy. And the young local guy was Kenny Omega.
Oh, wow.
So, but this was when he kind of first started. So like, I was actually upset that I had to wrestle him for a month, but like, looking back at it, it was like the weirdest education I've ever had in wrestling, because I wrestled Kenny for about 80% of the shows. And there were sometimes we did, shows, like 2 shows in a town. So we had to switch it up. And those were the shows where I got to wrestle Chi Cruz. And, so wrestling Kenny, I was I kind of grew up like in this old school, like I was taught like very, very much old school. And, wrestling Kenny was a huge eye opener for me, because like he kind of wrestled back then very much similar to the way that he wrestles now. So it was a real mind fuck for me. Like him and I argued psychology for the entire tour. And like, we just, everything we argued about, like we didn't get along until like the very end of the tour. Same with like, right? Like the one night we almost actually ended up almost in a fucking fist fight, because he was going so hard, and like he fucking, like he hit me with a suplex, and I think it was just a simple belly to back, and he called a belly to back suplex, and I'm thinking like, okay, he's gonna pick me up and put me down. And this thing couldn't have been more of like, he just grabbed me by the hips and just popped me like right under my fucking head. And I was like, whoa, what are you fucking, like, I was angry, bro, because I didn't understand that kind of wrestling at the time.
Yeah.
So we finished the match, because the match, like the way that we did the show is like, I would wrestle Kenny in the first match of the night. And I would go over on him, and then we would fucking beat him down. I was the heel, and then I'd have another heel come down, and then we would do a tag team match in the main event where it was me and this heel against Kenny Omega and a midget with boxing gloves.
Typical.
Real fucking story, by the way. Beautiful Bruce. Look him up, or don't. Anyway, so the one night, and it was like almost towards the end of the tour, and this is how fucking old school it was. We had heel and babyface locker rooms while we were doing this. So I get back into the locker room after that match, and I am throwing a fucking fit. Like I'm grabbing shit and I'm throwing, like it got to the point where I'm telling everybody, I'm like, tell Kenny Omega that when we get the fuck out there, we are motherfucking fighting. Like, just tell him to be fucking ready to go, because we're throwing them. Like, fuck him. So Chi Cruz, who's in the other locker room, comes over and he starts talking to me, and he's like, what the fuck are you doing? And I'm like, ready to motherfucking go. And then he's just like, he sat me down and he kind of explained Kenny Omega to me in a nutshell. He's like, this is just how he goes, man. Like, the fact that he's doing this with you means he likes you and he sees something in you. And not that his opinion means jack shit, especially at that time. He's like, but you have to understand that, like, that's his mentality. That's his work ethic. Do I agree with it? Maybe not, but he's trying to do something, and you have to respect that. And I was just like, whoa, this fucking veteran, like, is just, I'm like, whoa, okay. So my world spinned. So we go out to this match to do the tag match for the main. I still think that he thinks that I'm trying to fight him. And meanwhile, like, my brain just did a complete fucking 180 thanks to Chi Cruz. And I was just remember, like, holy shit. So like, that's when we went out there, dude. And because he thought that I was trying to fight him, and I'm like, well, I'm not fucking whatever. We ended up having one of the best matches, like the best match we probably ever had, like that night on that tour. And at the end of it, like, we were just kind of like, you good? Yeah. You good? Okay. It was like, we finally came to this mutual understanding.
Yeah.
So then on the flip side of that, I was begging Tony Condello to let me wrestle Chi Cruz, because that's all I really wanted. And the opportunity came up. He's like, all right, kid, boom, go wrestle Chi Cruz in the main event. And he was like the champion of the tour and stuff. So then all of a sudden I was like, oh shit, now I got to do it. You know what I mean? Yeah. so then I walk up to Cheech that day, and I was just like, well, Cheech, main event. What do you want to do? He goes, hey, Tony. Yeah. How much time we got? 45 fucking minutes. Say that again. 45 fucking minutes. I what do you want to do for 45 minutes, Cheech? And then he just looks at me and he's just like, stunner. And then he just walks away. And then I fucked up even more. I'm like, wait, am I giving you the stunner? Or you? Nah, I'm definitely taking the stunner. So then he literally, like, that's all he said to me before we walked out. Old school as fuck. And then like he went out and walked me. And keep in mind, he was the fucking the baby face. I'm the heel. So imagine trying to lead a heel through a 45-minute fucking match as the baby face. And he fucking totally did. And like I was just like, whoa. And then like we got to do it a few more times. And like every time that like we would do something, like I learned, and like my mind just went like, oh my God. So that, like, he's who I credit with really opening my mind up and really teaching me the art of pro wrestling and how to really do it correctly. But that one tour was like the craziest education for me, because getting to learn from Cheech was one thing, but I didn't look back at it and realize it until, again, I had the perspective to realize that Kenny opened my mind up to where the business was going and where I needed to really start to open my mind to this, because that's amazing. And then it's what happened. But man, just again, long story, but I mean, I've been blessed with but I've been blessed with a lot of really different educations. And I mean, I still to this day, like, I don't think that you can be in a position where you know too much. Like as a coach myself, I still consider Notorious TID my coach, if that makes any sense.
No, of course it does,
because like he's by far still my wrestling coach, because I have a lot of crazy ideas still, and I like to throw him those ideas because he's one of the few guys, in my opinion, if not the only one of the only guys who genuinely came from that old school era, who may not do that new school style of work, but understand and understood and adapts and is able to work those style of matches with those, like, guys with like all, like with the Riot Makers when they were first starting as a team. Like the education that those two got working with Tid and Custom as the Dirty Vets was unreal, you know, and they were getting to do all of their stuff that they wanted to do, but it was being confined into a real professional way of handling things, you know? So having guys like him is just, it's clutch. And I couldn't recommend that enough to anybody. Like, make sure that you've got somebody to watch over you, regardless of where you are at and where you think you're at, because there's always somebody that knows something more than you.
Of course. Yeah, that goes with everything, not just wrestling.
Yeah, 100%. Fuerza, we're wrapping this up right now. I got to say, this has been an amazing talk. But before we completely wrap this up, I want to get some plugs in. You can find the show, the Big Ben and Friends podcast, on Twitter and Instagram at Big Ben AF Podcast, as well as on Facebook. You just have to look Big Ben and Friends podcast, but you can certainly find us. Go like and spread the good word. You can find us on YouTube, where you're probably watching us now, by searching the show name, because now we finally have enough subscribers to actually have a channel name. So you can go to www.youtube.com/Big Ben AF Podcast. Please go subscribe, hit the like button, leave a comment. As stupid as it sounds, I know everybody asks you to do that, but we do that for a reason, because it actually fucking matters. And we're trying to get ourselves out there. It's literally a one-click thing that genuinely helps people like me who are working my ass off on projects like this out. It takes nothing. You can also find the audio version of this show on Anchor, which distributes my show to Spotify, iTunes, and literally anywhere you can pretty much get your podcast. However, if you had a choice, if you could listen to it on Spotify, I'm trying to fucking jack those numbers up a little bit if I can. So please go listen to it on there if you have that option. You can find me personally on all of my social media at Big Ben is Angry. You can find me on Instagram. You can find me on Twitter. Don't really find me on Facebook. I don't really like Facebook. Crossbody Pro Wrestling and Crossbody Pro Wrestling Academy. You can find on all of our socials at one place at CBPW Academy. You can subscribe to the CBPW YouTube page at youtube.com/Crossbody Pro Wrestling Academy, where we have all of the Showcase Series shows, which, again, you could go watch the entire Autobahn to the Gold tournament where Gabriel Fuerza won that bad boy. We've also just dropped a couple of gems recently, such as Alexia Nicole versus Kobe Durst, which is probably one of my favorite intergender matches that I've ever watched. And we've also dropped that gem of Danhausen versus Psycho Mike from our last Family Day Feud 4 show. And I cannot recommend go watch those two matches. They are fucking phenomenal. You can find the rest of our product on independentwrestling.tv. You could use the code CROSSBODY to get 5 free days, and you can check all of our shit out. You can go watch Gabriel Fuerza versus Azriel. You can go watch Gabriel Fuerza versus Daniel Garcia. You could watch him against Von Vertigo, of all fucking people. There's plenty of great matches you can go watch on there. And last but not least, you can support CBPW and all of our amazing wrestlers and our staff by heading to prowrestlingtees.com/crossbodyprowrestling, where all of the proceeds of the shirts that we do sell get split between the wrestlers and our incredibly hardworking production staff. And we also still have the Black Lives Matter shirts up there as well. The BLM shirts, the black and the white ones, the Madman Fulton black on black one, and the Just Insane shirts, are all of those proceeds are still going to blacklivesmatter.ca. The sales kind of dwindled down on those, but please know that whatever we sell on those, for as long as we have them up, we are donating 100% of the profit that we get from those shirts to that organization, which was chosen by the black members of our roster. So you can find Gabriel Fuerza on his Instagram and all of his stuff at
Fuerza Rules is my Instagram.
What an Instagram.
Fuerza Estupapi is my Twitter.
I'm going to put those in the section down below on the YouTube channel, because in case you try to fuck spelling those up or fuck up spelling those, god damn, I'm not good at talking today. In case you want to spell those correctly and find the right guy, I will put them down there. So then that way you can go and have a look at them. Do you got any final comments there, buddy?
Not really. I miss you. I miss Crossbody.
I miss you too, man. And with the news that I have shared with you earlier on today, I will hopefully be seeing you a lot sooner than later.
I hope so.
And you just let me know whenever you want to come down and get some weights in. And I would love to be able to, again, spread the knowledge that I was gifted myself by one of the most fucking genius strength and conditioning coaches that have ever walked our planet. So if I could pass that along to anybody, I know that I'd be doing him a huge service, because God rest his soul, he was an amazing man, and I want to try to help. So with that all being said, thank you very much, buddy. I can't thank you enough for coming on here to do this. This was genuinely, I really enjoyed getting to know you a little bit better, because I really did get to know you a little bit better during this time. Thank you very much to everybody for tuning into this week's episode, and we will see you guys next time. Thank you very much, man.
Thank you.